Admiral Yoon Jae-won stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Cosmic Harmony. The ship was 10 miles long and 3 miles wide, bigger than most human cities. Its bridge windows offered a perfect view of the alien armada stretched out in all directions around him. 50,000 ships filled the space at the edge of Earth's solar system. There were sleek fighters that moved like deadly fish through the darkness, massive carrier ships that held millions of smaller attack craft, siege vessels with weapons designed to crack planets open like eggs, and at the center of it all, the planet-killer ships that could turn entire worlds into dust and rock. Admiral Yoon had commanded fleets for over 300 years. His gray skin showed the marks of age, and his black eyes had seen the destruction of countless civilizations. To him, this was just another routine job, another primitive species that needed to be taught their place in the galaxy. "Status report," he ordered in his calm, cold voice. Commander Vextel, his second-in-command, approached the admiral's chair. The commander belonged to a species that looked like walking crystals with too many arms. "All ships are in position, Admiral. The siege fleet is targeting Earth's major cities. The planet cracker weapons are charged and ready. Our fighter squadrons have deployed around their pathetic space stations." Admiral Yoon nodded as he looked at the tactical display. Earth hung in space like a blue and green jewel, completely surrounded by his forces. The humans had 72 hours to surrender, and that time was almost up. "Have they responded to our ultimatum?" the Admiral asked. "No official response yet, sir," Commander Vextel replied, "but our long-range scanners detect increased activity around their moon base and their largest warship." The Admiral almost smiled. In his experience, primitive species always tried to fight at the end. It never worked, but they always tried. It was almost sad how predictable they were. "Show me their fleet," he ordered. The main screen changed to display the human space forces. Admiral Yoon counted exactly 203 ships. Most were cargo vessels and research ships that had been quickly fitted with small weapons. Their largest warship, something called the Defiance, was barely the size of one of his fighter squadrons. "Their biggest ship has the firepower of a patrol boat," Commander Vextel reported. "Our scientists estimate that our weakest vessel could destroy their entire fleet single-handed." "Then why are we here with 50,000 ships?" asked Subcommander Krillnex, a young officer who belonged to a species that looked like giant insects. Admiral Yoon turned his cold eyes on the young officer. "Because we are not just here to destroy them, Subcommander. We are here to send a message to every species in the galaxy. This is what happens when you refuse the will of the Galactic Council. This is what happens when primitive races think they can challenge their betters." The communication system activated with a soft chime. Captain Lee Do-hyun's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired and worried, but he still wore his uniform with pride. "Admiral Yoon," Captain Do-hyun said, "I'm speaking for all of humanity. We want to make one final offer for peace." "The time for offers has passed, human," Admiral Yoon replied. "You had 72 hours to surrender. That time is now over." "Please just listen," Captain Do-hyun continued. "We know we can't match your military power, but we have something to offer that might be valuable to your people. Our scientists have made discoveries in quantum physics that could benefit all the species in the galaxy." Admiral Yoon had heard this same desperate plea from dozens of other species. They always claimed to have something valuable to trade when the end came. It never mattered. "Your primitive science is of no interest to us," the Admiral said. "You will surrender immediately and accept pacification, or you will be destroyed. Those are your only options." "Then we choose a third option," Captain Do-hyun said quietly. "We choose to defend ourselves." Commander Vextel laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Defend yourselves? With what, your toy ships? Your primitive weapons?" Admiral Yoon raised his hand for silence. Something about the human captain's calm confidence bothered him. Most species begged and cried when they faced the hegemony fleet. This human seemed almost peaceful. "Very well," Admiral Yoon said. "If you choose destruction over surrender, we will grant your wish. All ships begin demonstration bombardment. Target their outer colonies and space stations. Show them what awaits their homeworld." The order went out across the fleet. Thousands of alien weapons powered up, their energy signatures bright enough to light up the darkness of space. The Admiral had used this tactic many times before. A show of overwhelming force usually made stubborn species reconsider their position. The alien fleet opened fire on Mars and the asteroid mining colonies. Massive beams of energy and streams of deadly particles reached across millions of miles of space. The weapons were so powerful they could destroy continents. But something impossible happened. As the alien weapons reached their targets, the human installation simply vanished. Not destroyed, not blown apart, but gone as if they had never existed at all. The weapons passed through empty space where the colonies had been seconds before. What happened? Admiral Yoon demanded. Where did they go? Commander Vextal frantically checked his instruments. I don't understand, sir. The targets just disappeared. Our sensors show quantum distortions where they used to be, but nothing else. Before anyone could make sense of this strange event, alarms began screaming across the hegemony fleet. Red lights flashed on every bridge and warning messages appeared on every screen. Admiral, Subcommander Krillneck shouted. Something just appeared in the center of our formation. The main screen switched to show the tactical display. There, surrounded by 50,000 alien warships, was a single human vessel. The Defiance had somehow appeared in the middle of the hegemony fleet without any of their sensors detecting it. How is that possible? Commander Vexatel whispered. Admiral Yoon stared at the screen in disbelief. In 300 years of commanding fleets, he had never seen anything like this. No ship could just appear in the middle of a formation without being detected. It violated every law of physics he knew. It must be some kind of trick, he said. But his voice lacked its usual confidence. A hologram or a decoy. Sir, the sensor officer reported, it's definitely a real ship. Mass readings confirm it's their warship Defiance. But the energy signatures are completely unknown. Our computers can't identify the power source. Admiral Yoon felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Uncertainty. This was supposed to be a routine pacification mission against a primitive species. Nothing about the situation made sense. All ships, he ordered, focus fire on that human vessel. Destroy it immediately. Every weapon in the hegemony fleet turned toward the lone human ship. 50,000 warships prepared to fire enough destructive power to shatter moons. The human vessel sat motionless in the center of it all, as if waiting. Fire, Admiral Yoon commanded. The space around the Defiance erupted in light as thousands of energy beams, plasma bolts, and antimatter missiles converged on the single target. The combined firepower was enough to destroy entire star systems, but when the light faded, the human ship was still there, completely undamaged. Admiral Yoon felt his blood turn cold. For the first time in his long military career, he began to suspect that he might have made a terrible mistake. The massive space station hung in the darkness like a metal moon. Its silver wall stretched for miles in every direction, dotted with thousands of lights from the many ships docked at its ports. This was the Grand Assembly, the most important place in the galaxy where all the alien races came to make big decisions. Inside the station's great hall, hundreds of strange beings filled the enormous room. Some looked like giant lizards with shiny scales. Others were made of pure light that floated in crystal boxes. There were creatures with too many eyes, beings that looked like walking trees, and things that defied description. All of them had one thing in common today. They were angry and afraid. At the center of the hall stood a small group of humans. They looked tiny compared to the massive aliens around them. Captain Lee Do-yun wore his crisp blue uniform with pride, even though his hands shook slightly. Next to him stood Navigator Park Min-ho, a young man who kept looking around at the alien creatures with wide eyes. Chief Engineer Kim So-min checked her tablet nervously, while Communications Officer Choi Hana tried to stay calm despite the hostile stares from every direction. The Vraxian Chancellor rose from his throne-like chair. He was 12 feet tall with silver scales that reflected the chamber's lights. His yellow eyes fixed on the humans as he spoke, in a voice that boomed through the hall. "We are here today to decide the fate of a dangerous species," the Chancellor announced. "The humans of the planet Earth have been studied and judged. The evidence is clear. They are a threat to all peaceful life in our galaxy." Captain Do-hyun stepped forward. "With respect, Chancellor, we came here in peace. We only want to—" Silence. The Chancellor's voice echoed off the walls. "You will speak only when asked to speak." A new voice filled the room like wind chimes mixed with electricity. It came from one of the crystal containers where a being of pure energy lived. "The Ethereal Collective has reviewed the human data files. What we found disturbs us greatly." Holographic images appeared in the air above the humans. The aliens gasped and made disgusted sounds as they saw pictures from Earth's history. Wars filled with violence and death, cities covered in pollution, Nuclear explosions that turned entire areas into wasteland. Look at their world, the energy being continued. They poison their own planet. They fight wars that kill millions of their own kind. They create weapons that could destroy all life on their world, and now they want to bring this violence to space. More images appeared. These showed human ships exploring nearby star systems, human colonies being built on distant worlds. To the humans, these were signs of progress and hope. To the aliens, they looked like an invasion beginning. Park Min-ho whispered to Captain Do-hyun, "Sir, they're not showing the good things. What about our art, our music, the times we helped each other?" The captain nodded but stayed quiet. He could see that the aliens had already made up their minds before this meeting even started. A new alien stood up. This one looked like a giant octopus with metal arms instead of tentacles. When it spoke, its voice sounded like scraping metal. The Mechanoid Union has calculated the probabilities. If humans are allowed to expand into space, there is a 97.3% chance they will start wars with other species within 50 years. "And what about their weapons?" asked another alien that looked like a walking flower. "Our scouts report they have something called nuclear weapons. They have already used these against their own kind." Kim So-man couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Those weapons are old technology. We don't use them anymore. We've learned from our mistakes." Several aliens laughed, but it wasn't a nice sound. It was the kind of laugh that said they didn't believe her at all. The Chancellor raised one massive hand for silence. "The evidence speaks for itself. Humans are violent by nature. They destroy everything they touch. They cannot be allowed to spread this destruction to the rest of the galaxy." Captain Do-hyun felt his heart sink. They had traveled so far and worked so hard to make contact with other intelligent life. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for thousands of years. Now it was turning into their worst nightmare. "Please," he said, his voice carrying across the silent hall, "give us a chance. Yes, we have made mistakes in our past. Yes, we have fought wars and damaged our world. But we have also created beautiful art and music. We have cured diseases and helped each other. We have learned to work together despite our differences. We can be better." The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. "Pretty words, human, but words are cheap. Actions matter more than words." The energy being in the crystal spoke again. "The collective has made its decision. Humanity poses too great a risk to ignore. They must be stopped before they can harm innocent civilizations." A chill ran down Captain Do-hyun's spine. "What are you saying?" "We are saying that Earth must be contained," the Chancellor explained. "Your species will give up all space travel technology. You will destroy your ships and stay on your home world. Forever." "And if we refuse?" asked Choi Hana, though she was afraid to hear the answer. The Chancellor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Then we will force you to comply. We will use whatever means necessary to protect the galaxy from the human threat." The hall erupted in alien voices, all talking at once. Most seemed to agree with the Chancellor's words. A few seemed unsure, but they were clearly outnumbered. "You have 72 of your Earth hours to make your decision," the Chancellor announced. "Remove all humans from space and destroy your space technology or face the consequences." As the aliens continued to debate among themselves, Admiral Yoon Jae-won entered the hall. He was the supreme commander of the Hegemony Fleet, the combined military force of all the galactic species. His species looked somewhat like humans, but with gray skin and black eyes. He walked with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. The Admiral approached the Chancellor's throne. "If the humans refuse our generous offer," he said, in a voice everyone could hear, "the Hegemony Fleet will be ready. I am already gathering ships from every member species. 50,000 vessels will be assembled within 3 days." The number hit the humans like a physical blow. 50,000 ships? Earth's entire space fleet had maybe 200 vessels, and most of those were cargo ships and research vessels. "That won't be necessary," Captain Do-hyun said quickly. "We'll take your message back to Earth. Our leaders will consider your request." "It is not a request," the Admiral corrected. "It is an order. Comply or be destroyed. Those are your only choices." The human delegation was escorted from the hall by mechanical guards. As they walked through the station's corridors toward their ship, none of them spoke. They were all thinking the same thing. How could they possibly tell Earth that humanity's first contact with alien life had ended with a threat of total destruction? Behind them, the aliens continued their meeting. The Admiral was already sending messages to fleet commanders across the galaxy. Within hours, warships would begin moving toward the Sol system. The largest military force in galactic history was about to descend on humanity's home system. The humans had 72 hours to surrender everything that made them a spacefaring species. After that, they would face annihilation. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Earth, as historians were already calling it. The Grand Assembly space station looked exactly the same as before, but everything else had changed completely. The same alien species filled the Great Hall, but now they looked at the humans with very different eyes. Ambassador Shinyona walked into the chamber wearing a simple blue dress that represented Earth. She was a calm woman with intelligent eyes who had spent years studying alien cultures. But today she wasn't entering as someone asking for help. She was here as the representative of the galaxy's newest superpower, the Vraxian Chancellor, the same giant lizard-like being who had threatened humanity months ago, now stood and bowed his massive head when she entered. "Ambassador Shin," he said in a respectful voice, "welcome to the Grand Assembly. We are honored by your presence." The change in tone was remarkable. 3 months ago, the aliens had treated humans like dangerous animals that needed to be caged. Now they spoke to her like she was the most important person in the galaxy. Ambassador Shin took her place at the center of the hall. Around her, representatives from dozens of alien species waited quietly for her to speak. The energy being in the crystal container floated closer, its light dim and respectful. 3 months ago, you gave humanity an ultimatum, Ambassador Shin began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. You told us to give up our dreams of exploring space or face destruction. You sent 50,000 ships to destroy our homeworld. Many of the aliens looked uncomfortable. Some stared at the floor, unable to meet her eyes. Today I stand here not to seek revenge but to offer something better, she continued. Humanity wants to share what we have learned with all the peaceful species of the galaxy. The Ethereal Collective's representative spoke first, its voice much quieter than before. Ambassador, we have heard rumors of the technologies your people possess. Are the reports true? Ambassador Shin smiled. What reports are those? That your ships can travel through solid matter, that your weapons can erase matter from existence, that you can manipulate the basic forces of reality itself. The reports are true, Ambassador Shin confirmed, but we didn't develop these technologies for war. We developed them to explore and understand the universe. Dr. Kang Seori, now Earth's chief science advisor, joined Ambassador Shin at the front of the hall. She activated a holographic display that showed the quantum technologies humanity had developed. Your species have been traveling through space for thousands of years, Dr. Kang explained to the aliens. But you all made the same mistake. You tried to work within the existing laws of physics instead of learning to change those laws. The display showed diagrams of human quantum drives and reality manipulation devices. Humans learned to alter quantum states, to exist in multiple dimensions, to modify the basic forces that hold atoms together. We didn't just build better ships, we learned to rewrite the rules. A new alien stood up. This one looked like a giant tree with golden bark and leaves that glowed softly. Are you saying our science is primitive compared to yours? Not primitive, Dr. Kang replied kindly. Just different. Your species focused on mastering existing forces. Humans focused on changing the forces themselves. Chancellor Vextal of the Mechanoid Union raised one of his metal arms. He had replaced the old chancellor after the previous one suffered a breakdown, following reports of the battle. Dr. Kang, would humanity be willing to share these technologies with other species? With peaceful species, yes, Dr. Kang answered. We have already begun helping several civilizations that asked for our assistance. She changed the holographic display to show a star map. Several systems were marked in green. The Ethereal Collective was facing extinction because their energy-based forms were slowly dissolving. Our quantum stabilization technology has solved this problem. Their people will live for millions of years now instead of slowly fading away. The energy being in the crystal pulsed brighter. It is true. The humans saved our entire species. We can never repay this debt. Dr. Kang continued her presentation. The gentle builders were losing their home world to radiation from their dying sun. We helped them move their star to a safer location using quantum manipulation. Gasps echoed through the hall. Moving a star was considered impossible by every alien species. The deep ocean people were trapped on their water world because they couldn't survive in space. We gave them technology to carry their ocean environment with them on their ships. Ambassador Shin stepped forward again. But sharing technology was only the beginning. We also established the Terran Defense Initiative. Fleet Admiral Han Taemin, now commanding a fleet of ships equipped with quantum technology, appeared on the chamber's main screen. He was speaking from the bridge of Earth's newest flagship, a vessel that existed partially in another dimension. The galaxy is safer now than it has been in 1,000 years, Admiral Han reported. Human warships patrol the major trade routes. Pirate attacks have dropped by 90%. The war between the Red Spiral and Blue Spiral empires ended when both sides realized they couldn't fight each other with human peacekeepers watching. The Admiral's image showed views of space where human ships moved like ghosts between the dimensions, keeping peace wherever they went. Your ships can stop entire wars? Asked the Chancellor. When both sides know that fighting means facing quantum dissolution, they choose to talk instead, Admiral Han explained. Violence becomes pointless when your enemy can erase your entire fleet from existence. Ambassador Shin called up another display that showed scientific discoveries happening all across the galaxy. But the most important change isn't military, it's scientific. Species that have been stuck at the same technology level for thousands of years are now making breakthrough discoveries every day. Dr. Ryu Dayun, Earth's chief xenobiologist, joined the presentation. We discovered why humans developed quantum manipulation abilities when other species didn't. Earth sits at a unique intersection of dimensional streams. Living there for millions of years changed human brain structure. The display showed a complex diagram of intersecting dimensions around Earth's solar system. Humans aren't just another species, Dr. Ryu continued. We're natural quantum engineers. We evolved specifically to maintain the stability of reality itself. That's why we can do things other species cannot. The hall fell completely silent as the aliens absorbed this information. They had tried to destroy the one species in the galaxy that was naturally designed to protect and maintain the universe. We are the guardians you never knew you needed, Ambassador Shin said gently. For millions of years, reality has been stable because humans existed to maintain it, even before we knew we were doing it. The Vraxian Chancellor stood up slowly. Ambassador, on behalf of all the species of the galaxy, I formally apologize for our actions 3 months ago. We nearly destroyed the very beings who keep the universe stable. Apology accepted, Ambassador Shin replied. But we prefer to look forward, not backward. The Chancellor nodded and then made an announcement that changed galactic history. The Galactic Council unanimously votes to grant humanity leadership status over all interstellar affairs. We place ourselves under human protection and guidance. Ambassador Shin looked around the hall at all the alien representatives. We accept this responsibility. But we don't want to rule over you. We want to work with you. Together we can build a galaxy where every species can grow and explore and reach their full potential. Captain Bae Sunho, now promoted to Admiral of the First Human Fleet, sent a message from the edge of the galaxy where human ships were exploring completely new regions of space. The galaxy has entered a new age, his voice echoed through the hall. An age where the impossible becomes routine, where species work together instead of fighting, where science advances faster than ever before. His image showed views of incredible new discoveries, stars being born in laboratories, planets being created from empty space, life being sparked in dead systems. This is the human era, Admiral Bae continued, not because humans rule, but because humans help. We will teach any species that wants to learn. We will protect any civilization that chooses peace. We will explore the furthest reaches of space and share what we find. As the meeting ended, aliens from across the galaxy approached Ambassador Shin with requests for human assistance. Some wanted help with scientific problems. Others asked for protection from aggressive neighbors. Many simply wanted to learn more about quantum manipulation. Ambassador Shin listened to each request with patience and kindness. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology, she told them. It was our desire to help others and explore the unknown. Now we can share both with all of you. Outside the station, human ships move through space like living stars, their quantum drives allowing them to be everywhere they were needed. The galaxy that had once tried to cage humanity now thrived under human protection and guidance. The species that had once been dismissed as primitive barbarians had become the guardians of cosmic stability itself. And the universe was better for it. Captain Bae-Sunho stood calmly on the bridge of the Defiance as thousands of alien weapons fired at his ship. The bridge crew worked at their stations with steady hands, even though they were surrounded by 50,000 enemy vessels. Outside the windows, space lit up like a deadly fireworks show as energy beams and missiles filled the darkness. "All weapons missed us, Captain," reported Lieutenant An Jiwoo from the weapons station. She was young but had steady nerves. "The quantum phase drive is working perfectly." Chief Science Officer Lim Seung-min looked up from his instruments with excitement in his eyes. "Sir, the aliens can't hit us because we're not exactly here. The quantum phase drive puts us in multiple locations at the same time. To their weapons, we're everywhere and nowhere." Captain Bae nodded. Dr. Kang Seori had worked miracles in the past 72 hours. Her quantum technology didn't just make better weapons, it changed the rules of how ships could move and fight in space. Navigation Officer Park Jae-ho called out from his station. "Captain, the alien fleet is trying to surround us completely. They're moving ships to block every escape route." "They still don't understand," Captain Bae said with a small smile. "We don't need escape routes. Show them what humanity has learned about the universe." On the Admiral's flagship, chaos filled the bridge. Every weapon in the hegemony fleet had fired at the human ship, but somehow every shot had missed. The sensors showed the ship was right there, but the weapons couldn't touch it. "How is this possible?" Admiral Yoon demanded. His calm confidence was cracking. "Our targeting computers are the most advanced in the galaxy. We can hit a grain of sand from 1,000,000 miles away." Commander Vextal studied the sensor readings with growing alarm. "Sir, the quantum signatures around their ship are like nothing we've ever seen. It's as if the vessel exists in multiple dimensions at once." "That's impossible," the Admiral snapped. "Nothing can exist in multiple dimensions. It violates the basic laws of physics." "Maybe their physics are different from ours," Sub-Commander Krillneck suggested quietly. Admiral Yoon turned his cold stare on the young officer. "Physics are the same everywhere in the universe. These humans are just using some kind of advanced shielding technology." But even as he said it, the Admiral didn't sound convinced. In 3 centuries of warfare, he had seen every type of defense system imaginable. This was something completely new. Back on the Defiance, Captain Bae walked to the center of the bridge. His crew looked to him for orders, their faces calm but alert. They all knew they were about to make history. "Dr. Kang's quantum disruptor array is fully charged," reported Lieutenant An Jiwoo. "We can target up to 1,000 enemy ships with a single burst." Chief Science Officer Lim Seung-min activated his display screen. "Captain, I should explain how this weapon works so everyone understands what we're about to do." The screen showed a diagram of atoms and the forces that held them together. "Every alien ship out there is made of matter, atoms held together by quantum forces. Our weapon doesn't destroy the ships. Instead, it tells the quantum forces to stop working." Engineer Kim Taejin, a veteran who had served on ships for 30 years, frowned at the screen. "What happens to the ship when the quantum forces stop working?" "The atoms forget how to stick together," Lim Seung-min explained. "The ship simply stops existing. Not destroyed, not blown up, it just isn't there anymore." The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. They weren't just going to defeat the alien fleet. They were going to erase parts of it from reality itself. "Sir," Navigation Officer Park Jae-ho said, "the alien fleet is repositioning again. They're trying to ram us with their largest ships." Captain Bae looked at the tactical display. Massive alien dreadnoughts were moving toward the Defiance at full speed. Each one was 10 times larger than his ship and covered in thick armor. "They think if they can't shoot us, they can crash into us," the captain observed. "They still don't understand what they're dealing with." Admiral Yoon watched as his largest ships charged toward the human vessel. "If our weapons can't touch them, we'll ram them with our dreadnoughts. Even their strange technology can't protect them from a direct collision with a ship that masses as much as a small moon." The massive alien ships closed in on the Defiance from all directions. Their hulls were scarred from countless battles, and their armor was thick enough to stop planet-killing weapons. Nothing could survive being crushed between such massive vessels. But as the dreadnoughts reached the human ship, something incredible happened. The Defiant simply phased through them like a ghost passing through a wall. The alien ships collided with each other instead, their thick armor crumpling like paper. "Impossible," Admiral Yoon shouted. "Ships can't become intangible. Matter cannot pass through matter." Commander Vextal's voice was shaking now. "Sir, I think we need to consider retreat. This human technology is beyond anything we understand." "We do not retreat," the Admiral roared. "We are the hegemony fleet. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We will not be defeated by one primitive ship." Captain Bay decided it was time to show the aliens just how primitive humanity really was. "Lieutenant On, target the enemy flagship and the ships around it. Let's give them a demonstration they'll never forget." Targeting the Admiral's ship and 50 surrounding vessels, Lieutenant On reported. "Quantum disruptor array is ready to fire." "Fire," Captain Bay ordered. The Defiance didn't shoot visible beams or missiles. Instead, it released something that couldn't be seen. A wave of quantum energy that spread out from the ship like invisible ripples in space. When the wave reached Admiral Yoon's flagship, something terrifying happened. The massive dreadnought began to fade. First, the outer hull became transparent, then it started to flicker like a bad hologram. The Admiral watched in horror as his own hands became see-through. "What's happening to us?" Commander Vextal screamed, but his voice was getting weaker as his body lost substance. All around the flagship, 50 other alien vessels were experiencing the same thing. 10-mile-long warships that had fought in hundreds of battles simply faded away like morning mist. The crews had just enough time to realize what was happening before they stopped existing entirely. In less than 30 seconds, 51 ships of the hegemony fleet had been erased from reality. Not destroyed, not damaged, completely removed from existence as if they had never been built. The remaining alien fleet stared in shock at the empty space where their admiral's flagship had been. For the first time in galactic history, the mighty hegemony forces faced an enemy they couldn't understand or fight. Captain Bay opened a communication channel to the entire alien fleet. "This is Captain Bay Sunho of the human warship Defiance. Your admiral chose to attack peaceful beings. Now he and his ships no longer exist. The rest of you have one choice. Leave our solar system immediately or join him in non-existence." Panic spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. Ship after ship began turning away from Earth, their crews desperate to escape before the terrible human weapon could target them. The greatest military force in galactic history was fleeing from a single human ship. But Captain Bay wasn't finished demonstrating humanity's power. The real lesson was just beginning. The journey back to Earth felt like the longest trip Captain Lee Do-yun had ever taken. His small ship, the Terra's Hope, moved through space while its crew sat in worried silence. Everyone knew they were carrying the worst news in human history. When Earth finally appeared on their screens, it looked so peaceful and blue. White clouds swirled over green continents and dark oceans. It was hard to believe that in less than 3 days this beautiful world might be turned into a smoking ruin by alien weapons. The ship landed at the United Earth Council building in Geneva. Within an hour, President Song Mirai had called an emergency meeting. The large conference room filled quickly with the most important people on Earth. Military leaders, scientists, philosophers, and world leaders all gathered to hear what Captain Do-hyun had to say. President Song was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but today she looked tired and worried. She had led Earth through many difficult times. "But nothing like this. Tell us everything," she said as Captain Do-hyun stood at the front of the room. The captain told them about the Grand Assembly, about the alien species who saw humans as dangerous monsters, about the ultimatum. When he mentioned the 50,000 alien warships, several people in the room gasped out loud. 50,000, repeated Fleet Admiral Han Taemin, Earth's top military commander. He was a tall man with scars on his face from his younger days as a fighter pilot. "Our entire fleet is 200 ships, and most of those are cargo vessels." Dr. Kim Won-shik, the head of Earth's defense research, stood up. He was an old man who had spent his whole life making weapons to protect Earth. "What kind of weapons do they have? How advanced is their technology?" Navigator Park Min-ho answered. "Their ships are huge, sir. Some of them are bigger than our largest cities. Their weapons can destroy entire planets. We saw recordings of what they did to other species who refused to surrender." The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. How could Earth possibly fight against such overwhelming power? Maybe we should consider surrendering, said Dr. Lee Jae-ha, a peace researcher. If we give up space travel, at least humanity will survive on Earth. Survive as prisoners on our own world, Admiral Han replied angrily. Never allowed to explore the stars, never allowed to grow beyond this one planet. That's not living. That's just existing in a cage. President Song raised her hand for quiet. We need to explore all our options. Admiral, what are our military capabilities? Admiral Han activated a holographic display that showed Earth's space fleet. Most of the ships were small and lightly armed. The biggest warship was called the Defiance, and even it looked tiny compared to the alien vessels they had seen. Our most advanced weapons are plasma cannons and nuclear missiles, the Admiral explained. According to the intelligence Captain Do-hyun gathered, these weapons barely scratch the armor of a basic alien patrol ship. We're like ants trying to fight elephants. What about our defenses? Asked President Song. We have orbital defense platforms around Earth and Mars, Admiral Han continued. But they're designed to stop asteroids and small attacks, not a fleet of 50,000 alien warships. They would be destroyed in minutes. The mood in the room grew darker. Some people began whispering about evacuation plans and hiding places. But everyone knew there was nowhere to run from an alien fleet that controlled all of space. Then Dr. Kang Seori stood up. She was the head of the Quantum Research Division on Luna Base, Earth's moon colony. She was young for such an important position, but she was also the smartest physicist on Earth. There might be another way, she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. What do you mean? Asked President Song. Dr. Kang walked to the front of the room and activated her own holographic display. It showed complex equations and strange diagrams that most people in the room couldn't understand. For the past 5 years, my team has been working on theoretical weapons based on quantum mechanics, she explained. We've discovered that we can manipulate the basic forces that hold matter together. Admiral Han frowned. I've read your reports, Doctor. Those are just theories. You've never built anything that actually works. That's true, Dr. Kang admitted, but we've never had a reason to build them before. We've been focused on exploration and peaceful uses of quantum technology. Now we have 3 days to turn theory into reality. She changed the display to show a weapon design. It looked like nothing anyone had ever seen before. A collection of strange rings and crystal formations. This is a quantum disruptor array, Dr. Kang continued. Instead of trying to destroy enemy ships with conventional weapons, it attacks the quantum bonds that hold their atoms together. Essentially, it makes matter forget how to exist. The room was quiet as everyone tried to understand what she was saying. You mean it could make an entire ship just disappear? Asked Captain Do-hyun. In theory, yes, Dr. Kang replied. But there are problems. The weapon would need enormous amounts of power. It would have to be mounted on our largest ship, and we've never tested it on anything bigger than a laboratory sample. Captain Bae Sun-ho, the commander of the Defiance, stepped forward. He was a veteran pilot with calm eyes and steady hands. Doctor, how long would it take to build this weapon and install it on my ship? Dr. Kang looked worried. Under normal circumstances, at least 2 years. With unlimited resources and working around the clock, maybe we could do it in 72 hours, maybe. And what are the chances it would work? Asked President Song. Dr. Kang was quiet for a long moment. I honestly don't know. The mathematics say it should work. But mathematics and reality don't always agree. There's a chance the weapon could destroy our own ship instead of the enemy. Captain Bae nodded. I understand the risks. But what choice do we have? If we surrender, humanity becomes a caged species forever. If we fight with conventional weapons, we'll be destroyed in minutes. At least this gives us a chance. A very small chance. Admiral Han pointed out. Sometimes a small chance is all you need, Captain Bae replied. President Song looked around the room at all the worried faces. The weight of humanity's future rested on her decision. She could order Earth to surrender and accept permanent imprisonment. She could order the fleet to fight a hopeless battle with conventional weapons. Or she could gamble everything on an untested weapon that might not even work. Dr. Kang, she said finally, you have authorization to begin immediate construction of your quantum weapon. Captain Bae, prepare the Defiance for modification. Admiral Han, ready our conventional forces as backup. She paused and looked directly at everyone in the room. We have 72 hours to prepare for the most important battle in human history. If we fail, our species may not survive. But if we succeed, we'll show the galaxy that humanity cannot be bullied or caged. As the meeting ended, people rushed out to begin their preparations. Dr. Kang headed immediately to Luna Base to begin the impossible task of building a weapon that existed only in theory. Captain Bay went to prepare his ship and crew for what might be a suicide mission. High above Earth, long-range sensors began detecting movement at the edge of the solar system. The alien fleet was coming, and it was even larger than expected. Humanity's 72 hours of freedom were ticking away. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin.